Hello, I'm Barbara Peters. Welcome to this month's episode of the Criminal Calendar. It's December, and in order to be special, we wanted to take you back a little bit in time. In fact, all the way back to 1997, when we did what I would call our first Christmas show. We were able to invite Clive Cussler to be our guest of honor, and even more exciting, he agreed to let us come and film in his writer's studio in Paradise Valley. So part of the fun of watching this holiday special show we're about to give you is seeing the models of the ships that dot Clive's studio. I remember how proud he was, for example, if you get a chance to see them, of the doors, which I believe he found in Mexico and hauled all the way back up to Arizona and had spiffed up and installed. Clive has a very special writing place. It's on the grounds of his home, but it allows him to sort of step out his door, go to the office, or in his case, go into another world. Really, he's created a very special world and uses some of the royalties from his books to actually fund a foundation called NUMA, which he is devoted to salvaging ships. I think at last count, although it won't be the same count as it was in 1997, that the Cusslers have looked at maybe 60-some ships by now, all the way from Civil War ships to wrecks of different periods. Their current project, and one they've been engaged on for several years, is chasing John Paul Jones's ship, the Bonhomme Richard, which means the good man Richard. And the reason it's called the Bonhomme Richard is because it was the French government who made that ship available to the American Revolution. It went down off England's Flamborough Head, which is in the North Sea and is a really vicious area. Very deep, terrible weather, and although the distances probably involved in the wreck of the ship itself are not vast, covering that water and trying to bring it up again is a major deal. One of the things that's been an outgrowth of the Dirk Pitt thrillers is the Clive Cussler Society. In fact, I think there's more than one. One of them has a head who lives in Perth, Australia. I know that because he emails me. And the other one is located in the United States, or at least the officers of it. And they have done a convention in 2004. They met in, 2005. They met in Colorado. In 2006, they had their convention in Scottsdale. I believe in 2007 they're going to Charleston, South Carolina, where they're going to be able to look at some of the Civil War salvage that they did. So one of the reasons that I've enjoyed working with Clive so much over the years, I'm happy to say that in almost 20 years the Poison Pen has launched all of his new Dirk Pitt thrillers, is that I know that the money, a lot of it goes to what I think is an interesting cause for science and for history. I'll look at the past and I'll look at the future. And in that spirit, Clive is also, as those who've been watching our current show with Dirk Cussler know, has passed on the brand, the Dirk Pitt novels, the opportunity to write the ships, and interestingly enough, the work of NUMA to the next generation of Cusslers. So we hope you're going to enjoy this very special Christmas show. Hello, I'm Barbara Peters from Scottsdale's Mystery Bookstore, The Poison Pen, with a Christmas episode of our Criminal Calendar. I'd like to welcome you, and I'd like to welcome best-selling author Clive Cussler, our special Christmas guest.
Pleasure.
It's so nice that you've come back from Colorado to the Valley of the Sun for the winter season.
I always look forward to that.
How often, how much of the year do you spend in each place, Clive? Do you
About 6 months in each. It'll vary, but that's just a rough average.
Boy, you really get the best of both worlds, don't you?
Unless I could get another house at the beach somewhere.
Do I understand that you keep your car collection up in Colorado rather than here under the merciless sun?
Well, it became that way. When I started collecting, I bought a warehouse in Colorado, and that's where I just keep them.
Do you drive them around up there?
Occasionally, I get up there and get to take them out. I'm fortunate in having a restoration shop in the front of the building. So they restore other cars besides mine, but they maintain my collection for me. So it's great just to call them up and say I'd like to take out the Stutz, so they'll put a battery in, put gas in, and have it ready for me.
You've got, what, 80 or some classics?
About 82.
They're so much fun because I love them. In this particular, which is your new book, Flood Tide, I love the photograph on the back cover. This, however, is the 1929 Duesenberg.
Right.
It's an absolutely great shot. When did you start putting the cars with you in the books?
Oh gosh, it was way back. I think the first one was Deep Six. I used. It occurred to me. I had Pitt driving cars, old cars, and it occurred to me, we should drive the same car. So I think it was Deep Six. I put a Talbot Lago that I owned that Pitt actually drove in the book that was blown up. I think I even had 3 or 4 letters from people saying, "Did you really blow the car up?" No, it's alive and well, living in a warehouse in Colorado. So that was the first one, and then I've been putting them in ever since.
We were just talking before we started the program, and you mentioned to me that at book signings people regularly ask you about your car collecting.
Yeah, every time, every second, third person walks through, so did you drive one of your old cars, or where are they, and how many do you have, and what do you have, and all this sort of thing. So people are really into the old cars.
Is that going to lead you into doing any sort of publication connected with the cars?
Simon & Schuster, I think, is going to do a coffee table book on the car collection.
There are a lot of spin-offs, aren't there, connected to being a best-selling author with a best-selling trademark character like Dirk
I
Pitt?
guess because of the character, it's becoming that, because all of a sudden, I received a letter from a school teacher saying that Dirk Pitt should be in young adult, as ages 8 to 12 books, particularly for boys, because all the books out today, and young people, are for girls.
That's true, a vast majority are.
So I sent the letter to the children's division of Simon & Schuster, and they said, what a wonderful idea, not that they couldn't come up with it themselves. So they're going to, I guess next year, they're adapting the first 2 of the books for that age bracket and put them out, so we'll see how they go.
Oh, great. So we're going to not only have the Hardy Boys, but we're going to have the Dirk Pitt.
Right.
Oh, I love it. I think but that is a great idea, because often I think, well, first place, action-adventure books, I've always loved them myself. I don't think it's a sex-linked thing. But I think it's hard to get children interested in reading because they get bored with more traditional plots, and certainly the kinds of things Dirk Pitt does are...
I know. I get letters from students, not students, but teachers and mothers saying that they had a student or a child that just wouldn't read, and they finally got them. And they always seem to start out with "Raise the Titanic," and said that they read that, and now they read all mine, and now they're reading every other book in sight. So apparently, if you can get them interested, they'll continue to read.
As the creator of Dirk Pitt, what sort of control do you have over the children's series? Do you actually write it, or do you license it to them, or how's that?
Oh, I can't write it. You have to have a knack for writing, of course, the children. But I'll probably go through and edit it to make sure that they didn't, I mean, I like to see fun, interesting things in it. That, besides, there again, I asked, if they could find a male editor, because it's boys' adventure. And the lady that heads up the juvenile division, there was this horrified silence over the phone, and she says there aren't any male editors in juvenile. So they're using a little Jewish lady from New York. So I have to check it out real carefully to see that she can connect with the kid in the farm in Iowa, and the fellow in the dock in Seattle, and the boy in Texas. So.
Well, we're going to have children's books, we're going to have a car book, and you mentioned to me earlier that they're also thinking of compiling a companion, some sort of...
There's a companion book coming out on a little bio on me, and then, of course, like an encyclopedia on the books and the characters and that sort of thing. And then they want to do a spin-off series, paperback, called the Numa Files, which would be a different cast of characters, like Second Generation 2, the Star Trek. Maybe Pitt and Giardina would walk on, and they're referred to as legends or something with Numa. But I'm working on the plotting on that, but another author will actually write it.